My remark comes from being a person who has run media companies and produced events that are dependent on people supporting it and sponsors and exhibitors. And it goes back to a little of the conversation you and I had, Richard, before we started tonight's event. In 1998, I started an event which changed the music industry forever. I brought the MP3 movement together with the New York Music and Internet Expo. It was the beginning of a revolution. The record companies didn't want it. Well, the record companies had no choice. We gave it to them. The RIAA, which represents all the major, which is a lobbying organization for all the major labels, wanted nothing to do with me. All of a sudden, 2 weeks prior to the event, the RIAA offered me a huge amount of money to sponsor the event. Actually would have given me the money to rent the ballrooms every day for a month. And I had to make a decision. Do I want their money or do I care about the mission? I think that one of the big problems that we're facing in this country is how our messages are delivered to us. The traditional businesses, whether it's the gasoline companies, the oil companies, FPL here in Florida, they're afraid of all the alternatives because we are the automobiles in a world of horse and buggies. We are the desktop computers in the days of pencils and papers to write. So the biggest problem I see is not so much what the solutions are. We know where the solutions are and what we can provide because we're here and there's many others that are working towards and organizations that are working towards. The public has to want change, and that's not going to be easy. But the media, which is funded by multinational corporations, and maybe 100 corporations fund 70 or 80% of everything we watch on television, everything we hear on the radio, every movie that is made. Just about every message that we buy, whether it's Clear Channel, which owns Live Nation, whether it's BMG, which owns RCA and Arista, and the label I'm signed to as a record producer, EMI, which I still have not seen an audited statement. These companies control what we see in our media. And change is happening, whether it's Arianna Huffington in her Huffington Post, Danny Schefter in his media channel. The biggest crisis we have, more so than energy, energy is a very big crisis, is our consumption of media. We're listening to so much nonsense. If Rush Limbaugh is able to do the numbers he has, let me rephrase it. A very good friend of mine, a gentleman who suggested I contact Nirvana and get involved with your events, said to me that the mind that measures will never be happy. So if the average American consumer really wanted the best for themselves, the National Geographic would have a higher circulation than the National Enquirer. But we are a society, for the most part, that lives on a lower level of consciousness. And we think about me, not us. My friend Wozniak tried to change it with the US Festival. It hasn't changed. We're all working towards it. But no, I'm rambling on longer than I'd like to. But Darryl made a point when he's pointed and he said 3 fingers. We're all responsible. We're all accountable, but we can all make change. At least we're thankful that some people came tonight to give their inspirations, and I hope that this video will circulate and proliferate on the web so people can see this. And we get this to Washington. We get this to Kucinich and the politicians that care.